Chapter 6. I stared at the stack of journals on the table in front of me for a long time before I picked one up. I knew it would help her, but I didn't know if I wanted to come face to face with my best friend's most private thoughts. I knew these journals had to be full of pain and suffering, and I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to, but I had to. The journals appeared to begin right before she met Jeremiah. Mike had provided only the necessary portion of her life for me to examine. That was good. The entries didn't seem to be dated. I saw Ray again tonight at the bar. He looked a little less sad than he usually does. He is naturally a melancholy man and a bit of a misanthrope, but he has a good soul. I know it has to be hard to live in this Midwestern town and be who he truly is. He's never talked about a partner or a lover. I wonder if he has ever come to terms with his homosexuality. Well, at least she thought that before Jeremiah had poisoned her mind, I thought. I didn't care if she thought I was gay or not. I just didn't like the idea she thought it because Jeremiah told her to think it. Even though this city holds over 2 million people, it still feels like the confines of a small town some days. I came to school thinking things would be different here, that people would be more accepting and that somehow I could fit somewhere. But I'm still an outsider, just like I was back home. It seems that I have the same choice I always have had. I can either conform and be shallow, or I can be miserable. The only one I feel like I connect with is Ray, and that says something. He's the poster child for loners, only he has accepted it. I haven't. I need friends my own age, who read stuff just because they enjoy it. Friends who think. Sometimes I feel so lonely here. I mean, sure, I have Ray, but he's so aloof, and even though I don't know exactly how old he is, I know he's a lot older than I am, and he drinks too much. Sometimes I think he is just as sad as I am, but he's just gotten used to feeling that way. I don't want to get used to it. It feels like if I do, that's admitting defeat, admitting that I'm an irredeemable loser. I don't want to do that. Sometimes I wish I could just go live in one of my books, be special, be the heroine who risks her own life and saves everyone, or even someone who helps the hero, a supporting character in one of those stories would be better than a nothing in this life. I know I have a purpose, something better than this. I know life is supposed to have some meaning. God, I'm so lost here. My best friend is a reclusive gay metalhead who drinks too much and wears the same Megadeth t-shirt every other day. I can't even help him. I can't even help myself. I can't even finish any of my manuscripts. I have so many stories swirling around in my head and I can't finish any of them. All I hear when I try to write is my mom telling me that I should be working on something practical, something that will actually pay the bills when I get old. But I want to do more than just pay the bills. I want to live. I don't want to be responsible. I just want to create. And I realize I'm nothing. I'm a sad, lazy, ungrateful, pathetic little person who can't even realize how good she has it. It's not like my life is horrible. I have food to eat and a place to sleep. No one has attacked me physically. My family loves me. Nothing bad has ever really happened in my life. Ever. It doesn't make sense. But I still hate my life, and I hate myself. No, I thought. No, you were never a nothing, Amanda. Not to me. And you won't be a nothing. Not if I can help it. I had no idea this was how she felt about herself. I didn't even know she was trying to write anything. She never talked about it. Or maybe I didn't listen. I should have known. I should have helped. Damn it, I was going to help now. I went on to the next entry. Sometimes it feels like a huge gaping hole is inside of me, sucking all the joy out of me. I try and cover the hole up with clothes, with smiles, with busy things and small talk, but nothing ever really covers it. It's always there, just under the surface. And if anyone looked too hard in my eyes, I'm afraid they would see it there behind my pupils. So I keep my head down. I keep doing the things I do every day, and I hope the hole doesn't get any wider. At least I pretend it won't happen today. Tomorrow, it might swallow me whole, but today, it'll get covered up like always. It has to get better, doesn't it? I'm so tired. Some days I don't even want to get out of bed. I skipped my first class today, and that's becoming the norm. Why can't I just get out of bed? Lazy, that's why. That's what my dad would tell me. Push through, push through. But what if I just don't want to push anymore? Shut up, Amanda. Shut up and stop whining. It's a good thing nobody else can read this. I almost didn't get up today. Just like yesterday. My roommate thinks I have a bad cold, but I don't. I just don't want to go deal with anything today. She doesn't care anyway. She has a lot of closer friends than me. Maybe I'll go to the bar and hang out with Ray later. I met a strange man today. His name is Jeremiah. Not the normal kind of person I like to hang out with or anything. He looks like a frat guy, but older. I think he might be in his 30s. He's different than a frat guy. Carries a Bible everywhere. I've seen him on campus a lot lately. He's always smiling. And I always assume that means that a person is fake. Because no one is ever really that happy all of the time. But I think maybe this guy is genuinely that happy. He came and sat next to me in the cafeteria and told me that an angel had told him to tell me that everything was going to be okay. He said he could see a great sadness in me, but also a beautiful light. And then he got up and he walked off. He didn't explain himself. He didn't try to invite me to his church. Nothing. It was weird. No one really talks to angels. I wish we could. For some reason, it made me feel better when he told me I had a beautiful light. I knew the light she was talking about, and it was truly beautiful. I wish she could have seen that light for herself. But humans can't see light, only its reflection, and then only obscured. I had the same old nightmare last night that I always have. The one where I'm lost and I find a house in the middle of nowhere. Only this time the house was a church, and the kind you see when you're driving through the countryside on the back roads around here. White, wooden siding, paint starting to peel. It stood in the middle of a small cemetery with little white gravestones all around it. The yard looked overgrown, and some of the stones could barely be seen behind all the grass. I was walking along the dirt road towards the church, and the wind turned cold. I could see the storm clouds in the distance, that horrible green color they get when the tornadoes come. I started hurrying towards the church. When I looked back, I could see the funnels dipping down out of the storm like alien tentacles. And when they touched the ground, I could see the debris clouds form around their base. I was terrified. But then I looked at the church. I knew that if I wanted to be safe, I had to get inside. The sun was still shining on the church. Even though it looked dilapidated when I first saw it, it looked more welcoming the closer I came. The door was open, and I could hear singing inside. The clouds grew darker and darker, and the tornadoes were surrounding the building now. I could see light coming from inside the old church. I could see now that the building was up on cinder blocks and it had no foundation at all. But there was nowhere else to go. As soon as my foot crossed the threshold, the roar of the storm outside stopped. So did the singing. All that remained was an empty building with rotting wooden pews tossed here and there. Bright, warm sunlight poured through the place that used to be a roof. I stood just past the threshold, afraid to move, afraid of the storm outside, afraid of the weeds, of the unnamed people who lay forgotten beneath the white stones in the churchyard, afraid of death and afraid of life, afraid of myself and that dark hole inside of me. Inside the sunlight streaming in from above was an even brighter light, coalescing, swirling together, full of warmth. A feeling of awe and terror overcame me. I fell to the floor and covered my head in with my arms, but the light came closer, and then it was inside me. I could feel its warmth and its peace, and I was no longer afraid. I could hear a voice in my head say, "Tell Jeremiah that it is God who allots, God who gives the portion, and God who divides." When I woke up, I was still peaceful and still unafraid. I felt better, like the hole inside had finally closed over. No more fear and no more pain. The same thought keeps coming into my head over and over. I need to find that weird guy, Jeremiah, and tell him about the dream. And if nothing else, I feel better than I have in a long time. I stopped at this point. Something about that phrase, God who allots, God who portions, God who divides, that was very familiar. I pulled up my laptop and did some searching through the case files I had been looking at earlier, and there it was, Jaziel. His name meant God, El, who divides a portion, Haza. There was no way Amanda could have known what it was that she was dealing with. Jaziel had followed the law. The interaction had been during an altered state of consciousness, but he had pushed himself upon her, even inside her being within the dream state. Against her will, while she was vulnerable, there had been no consent. If this had been a flesh and blood man, forcing himself inside her, it would be considered rape. This was something I would expect and had seen before in the demonic realm, but never from an angel. And the feeling better Amanda was experiencing, I had dealt with enough demonic possession cases to know that these were not her emotions that she was feeling, but Jaziel's. In a demonic possession case, this would be called infestation. The first experience, where the introduction to the possessing entity occurs. The next stage would be oppression, where the subject's will would be tested. The final stage is possession. In Amanda's case, she was ripe for the picking, a perfect victim, vulnerable, creative, and now on a spiritual high. Jaziel was the only one who could supply the drug that she had just tasted. The only problem was that, technically, he had followed the rules. He had only directly interacted with her in a state of altered consciousness. He had not conducted himself in a manner befitting a representative of heaven, but he had followed the rules of engagement. Damn heaven and their anal retentive obedience to the fucking letter of the law. And Jeremiah, had he acted knowingly, or was he simply a pawn? My phone chirped with a text notification. I checked it. Fucking Leo. Saw you're back from your trip, LOL, and had company. I'm at bar. Meet at 5 for drinks? Smiley face. Fucking emoticons. Fucking LOLs. Fucking Leopold. Fucking demons. Fucking motherfuckers from fucking hell. I ignored it. Maybe he would go away. It went off again. I know you're home, Crow. I got intel, smiley face. Come or I'll eat your cats, smiley face, LOL. God, I hated that guy. But I grabbed my coat and headed out into the snow again. The walk seemed longer than usual, being punctuated by the chirping of text message notifications every few steps. The mute control seemed to be malfunctioning. You comin', bro? LOL. Cats taste good, smiley face. With hollandaise, LOL. Got milk? When I got to the bar, I was ready to blow. He was sitting at the booth Amanda and I used to sit at, playing with his iPhone. I'm sure it was purchased by his employer. Hell owns stock in Apple. I slid into the opposite side of the booth, took the phone out of his hands, and broke it in half. Text me one more fucking LOL, and I will break you in half, shithead, while I LOL, I growled at him. Bad day, Crow, he said casually. I heard about that girl. Amanda, really sorry about that. Just so you know, our side had nothing to do with that, just so we understand each other. As you know, spirits of suicide do fall under my department, but I assure you that your girlfriend was not on their paper route, okay? Cut your shit, Leo. I know your kind didn't have anything to do with it. You said you had intel. Spill it, asshole. I don't have time for polite small talk, not that I'm in the mood anyway, I hissed. My people reported that there had been a gate opened at your place yesterday. That sort of thing means important visitors, and they say they saw that pansy Gabriel flouncing around the neighborhood buying burritos, too. What do they want? They afraid their side's current advantages are going to be taken away? That their secret plan to run everything has been exposed? He asked. Not exactly. I haven't been able to find any overt rules being broken by their side, Leo. Your side are the consistent rule breakers. You know how the heavenly host loves their rules. Now tell me what you have to tell me, or I'm leaving. Saul came over with a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. I thought of Amanda's opinion of my drinking as I poured myself a glass. Oh, you can't leave now, Crow. The drinks just got here, said Leo, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. And it's on the company credit card. Thanks, Leo. Well, you do look a bit stressed out. He tried his best to sound less like a douchebag demon, a little down in the dumps. But this might cheer you up. That preacher, Jeremiah Anderson, he's starting to not look so hot. Why should I give a shit how he looks? I asked. I'm surprised you didn't know this, Ray, he said. See, when someone is possessed, and I'm talking full on, no holds barred, complete submission of will possessed. The kind of possession that only happens when the host has completely accepted the entity as their own. The Roman Catholics call it diabolic subjugation. He mockingly air-quoted the term. It takes a toll on the body. Human bodies are fragile, and they're not made to hold something as powerful as an angel, fallen or no. And when that body gives out, Ray, he's going to have to find another host. You haven't been able to nail down our friendly neighborhood angel's location, have you? I wasn't going to admit to him that I hadn't, so I examined the contents of my glass and tried my best to appear uninterested. Do you want to know why you didn't find him at the church? I know you expected your little horror show to have fleshed out your prey, that you would have easily found the man behind the curtain. Bravo on your method, by the way. Very artistic and dramatic. Nicely done. That bit with the cross? Fucking brilliant. The use of quotations from Acts? I admire you, Crow. If you ever want out of the judge gig, let me know. I think we could find you a place at the local infestation team. Brilliant work. Get on with it, demon. You're stinking up the place, I growled. You can't find your angel boy because he isn't there. He isn't the man behind the curtain. He is the man. Or rather, is in the man. Jeremiah couldn't tell you where he was because he is inside Jeremiah. That is why Jeremiah is aging so quickly. Angelic subjugation. See, Crow, all of us are the same. Angels, demons, 2 sides of the same coin. Everything they can do, we can do. And it appears now that everything we can do, they can too. His broken phone suddenly started playing Pharrell Williams' song Happy. He looked up at me and said, "Sorry, gotta take this. It's Ira. We'll catch up later." He vanished in a cloud of smoke, leaving a miasma of sulfur and methane behind. "Odin's testicles, Ray! What the hell is that stench?" exclaimed a gnome sitting at the closest table. "Ooh, the evil ass. Demon business meeting, sorry, Hans," I said. "Light a match, man. Have some fucking courtesy."